Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at a real beast of a watch by Ballast, and this is the Trafalgar Valiant. So it's one of their most recent watches. They were going to launch it on Kickstarter, but they decided against it, so they funded it all themselves, and I believe that it's officially being launched next month in June of 2016. So we've got a nice little sneak peek of this beastie watch. It'll cost you $499, so that equates to around £345 at the moment. It's got a couple of neat little features, and there's been a lot of thought and effort being put into it. So at first glance that might seem like a lot of money, but what you do get for the money is actually quite decent. So we'll go through it, and we'll see if it's something that you like. Okay, so let's talk about the specs. Obviously, as you can see, it is pretty massive. So the diameter, I've got a 7¼ inch wrist. Okay, so the diameter is 46.5 mil, which is pretty gigantic. The height as well is 14.5 mil, and then the lug to lug length is 54 mil. So by no means is this a small watch. It is absolutely gigantic. So immediately many people will be put off by that, but then some people will really like it for the size, because it is a very impressive looking watch and it demands a lot of attention, and it provides you with a lot of wrist presence as well. The strap is 22 mil wide at the lugs, and also I believe it's 22 mil at the buckle as well. So it's a straight strap with no tapering at all. If I just take it off, we also have this custom submarine buckle as well, because the whole idea behind this watch is that it's an ode to the Royal Navy submarine service, because on the side of the case we have, if I can get it focused, probably can't see it very well, but it says "Trafalgar we come unseen," and that's the motto of the Royal Navy submarine service. So we have this submarine in the buckle itself. Personally, I don't really like it. I think it's a bit harsh. Not that the rest of the watch is not harsh, but I think that's just a step too far, when just a standard Privy buckle would be sufficient. So the key feature behind this watch is the movement and how you set the time. So if you can see here, we have a nice canteen lock, and this lock itself is made out of 10 pieces, and it's very nicely made. So you unscrew the lock here, and that will release this push button. Now normally you'd think that was a crown and you just pull that out and adjust the time, but no, in fact you push it in, which then opens up this little button here, and then use the bezel itself to adjust the time. So fully pushing it in is the time, and then if you push it in halfway, it adjusts the date. So like so, see the date advancing. Push it in all the way, and that's the time, and then you push that button there to reset it. So, really cool little feature there, and it's nicely done. It doesn't necessarily, change your life or make setting the time any easier, but it's just a really cool little feature that they've put a lot of thought and effort into. So that's one of the main features. The movement itself is a Miyota. It's the Miyota 8215. Obviously it's been modified, but that's the base movement. That runs at 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so that's 6 ticks per second. You can't hand wind it, but it has got a hacking second. But you don't really necessarily need to hand wind it. You just give it a bit of a wiggle like that to get it moving to start with. So the crystal itself is a sapphire crystal, which is good. Obviously, on a watch costing this much, is exactly what you'd expect. It supposedly has anti-reflective coating as well, but I haven't necessarily found it too effective. We also have 100 meters of water resistance, so that's good enough for swimming and stuff like that. So that's good to have. Weight wise, it's 131 grams, so pretty heavy. You certainly know about it when you're wearing it, as you'd expect. I mean, look at the amount of steel that's been put into it. Yeah, it's certainly a weighty, hefty thing. And then the strap is all stitched by hand, and it's 4mm thick, so really high quality, decent strap as well. So that's just the basics discussed. If we just have a look at a couple of things in closer detail, then obviously the dial, just give the crystal a quick wipe. Obviously the dial is quite complex, and a lot of thought and effort has been put into it. For instance, this stamped inner rehaut is very nicely done, and then this multi-level basically, and also you can't really see it, but if you look at the written review, you'll be able to see some loom pictures. The loom is fairly average, but all the bits you'd expect to be loomed are loomed, so that's nice. It's actually almost like a sandwich dial, because these hour markers and this B here is on a lower level to the top level, so it really does give you a sense of depth and texture to it. So a lot of things are going on, very complicated. So not only does it look good, but it looks pretty good quality as well. Printing is all pretty spot on as well. So moving on to the case, this is pretty aggressive and angular, large as well, and nothing too crazy, too much crazy else to say about it, apart from the majority of it is brushed, apart from just these two sides. Either side of the lug, right at the top, is a little tiny polished run there, and which is a nice little touch, because it provides you with a little bit of a contrast there. So we have the little badge there, Trafalgar we come and seen, and then the screw and case back with a exhibition window, details around it, and the exhibition window has like a B laser etched on the underside, which is quite a cool little touch as well. Okay, so let me just get the macro lens on and we'll have a look at it in closer detail. So starting with the dial. So here's the printing at the top, and then the printing at the bottom. Could probably be a little bit crisper. And then we have just these lower level elements, like the sandwich dial aspect of it. So they're all loomed, which is a nice touch. And then we have these two big applied numerals at 6 and 12 brushed to match the case, and with that little channel through it, which is very much like the Hublot numbers. This rehaut on the inside as well. They make quite a big fuss of this on the website, so it's very nicely done. The hands skeletonized and loomed ends, again brushed to match the case. Nothing too exciting there really. And there's the second hand running around. Just try and move the hand out of the way so you can see the date window. So there's the date window there. So you can see there's lots of levels going on, lots of little bits and bobs here and there. So it is quite a complex dial, but it's it's well managed and well designed despite all the complexity. So moving on to the case. Here we have the badge on the side screwed in, which is really cool to see. Trafalgar we come and seen. And then we have this outer rim, which is what you adjust the time with. So the entire bezel moves. And then if we come across to this pusher, so you push that in, and then this section is released, and then you can move the bezel to move the time, and then you just push that back in to reset it all. And here's the little canteen lock, which, you know, considering how small it is and the complexity required, it is very nicely put together. So that just screws on the end there. There we go. Okay, so moving on to the lugs, we have, as I mentioned before, this slither of polished finish, and then everything else is brushed. Moving on to the case back, the details are nice and deeply engraved, and then we have the exhibition window. So there's the B, and we can see the Miyota movement behind it. Not the best looking movement, but it's pretty sturdy, pretty solid. So it should do you. Should be okay going forward. So just looking at this hand stitch strap, the leather is pretty rustic, big thick stitching as well, so it's pretty heavy duty, a mixture of black and brown. And on the underside, that's a ballast strapped, and here's the submarine in the buckle, which I'm not personally too keen on. You'll notice that we're getting a fair bit of wear where I wear it, so that's a bit of a pain. But you know, you're going to get that on every strap, really, aren't you? Okay. So, £345 is is indeed a fair bit of money, but what you are getting, you're getting decent specs, a very unique watch, nicely made, nicely put together, and with a cool feature that you can show off. Something that's quite unique with the movement and how to set it. So I really do think it's a great watch, and I think Ballast have done a good job with this, being able to think of something new. Because I believe this is a patented system they've developed. So in the watch world, good for them for doing such a thing. So despite it being a humongous watch, it is quite easy to wear. It's quite reasonably comfortable on the wrist. The strap is quite soft, and it sits reasonably well, actually. So that's a good thing. Obviously, you do have to be a very specific type of person to want this watch. You need to like larger watches, otherwise this is definitely not the watch for you. But if you do like the look of it, you like the features, and you're thinking of getting one, then I would say it's a great watch. So this was the Ballast Trafalgar Valiant for £345, and that's what it's all about.